Afternoon Talk on SAFM.
Well, thanks for that, Zodwa. My name's Ashraf Garda. If you just tuned in, you're 1 hour late because we start the show every day around 2 o'clock. It's the Afternoon Talk Show. And love your feedback all throughout the show. And certainly detailed feedback, welcome via email, of course, to ashraf@sfm.co.za. Now, what about putting somebody in the spotlight? Also, many people do email me with their suggestions and recommendations, and sometimes we get it right in a very short period. Sometimes it takes longer. Do send them. Who would you like me to put in the spotlight? Someone we, of course, have not put in the spotlight as yet. Yolanda Sing is in the spotlight right now, and she's in the Bishu studio. Yolanda, good chatting to you. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon, Ashraf.
Thank you so much for your time. Now, I'll tell you what, often when we speak to someone, they either someone of high prominence, extremely well known, they've perhaps written a book, they've done something spectacular, they've done something that gets us thinking about their story, which is quite remarkable. What sets you apart? What is your claim to fame that gets people sitting up and taking notice when you tell them your story?
Well, I think firstly the fact that I do cutting edge and experiential work. I do very different form of leadership development, and I've also believe that I have got a remarkable story to tell, and that has inspired me to go ahead and to publish my first book.
Okay, and that first book is called what?
Power in the Paddock.
Power, and that's the one I've actually got with me, actually, Power in the Paddock. I understand there's another book coming up, is that right, or not?
Well, I'm thinking about working on my second book. I think I've been bitten by the desire to tell a story, and I think the next one will follow.
Okay, well, that's great. So Power in the Paddock, which suggests a very strong link with horses, right? Yeah?
Correct.
Let's then go back. What is your story?
My story about the horses?
Well, you have this unique story, and he talks about illness and your husband and horses, and all that comes into mind. Then we talk about leadership just now. What is your story?
Right. So let me first start with a story, and I think just to say, Ashraf, that it took me really. I always tell people that I've been pregnant 7 years with that book before I really had the guts to tell it, and I actually got to a point to realize that horses have played such an amazing role in my healing story. And without going too much in the detail, I was living abroad for 8 years of my life, and while I was in Singapore doing a very high-powered, high-set HR role, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And when I got such devastating news, it really gave me an opportunity to reflect back and to think, what is the purpose of life really? Is the purpose of life just to be busy, or is the purpose of life to make a meaningful contribution? So my book is all about telling the story, but I'm telling it very different. I'm telling it through the eyes of Erika, my polo pony, which played a very, very dear role in my healing at the time.
Okay, you said through the eyes of who?
Of Erika, my polo pony at the time in Singapore.
All right. Okay. So, interesting. Right.
Yes. So the book comes from a very different angle. It comes through the angle of an animal. It also comes through the angle of animal spirit or God, whatever we want to refer to, the higher power. But it also comes in through my own voice. So I integrated the 3 different voices, and I tell a very unique story about how there can always be light after darkness.
Well, that's very pleasing to know. Now, I will take calls. If you've read the book Power in the Paddock, written by Yolanda Sing, you can call in and say hi to the author. But then, of course, you'll know the story because it's an autobiography through the horse as well, as we've heard. But also, because we will touch on that, this relationship between human beings and the horses in terms of and what they do together. So you can comment about that as well. But if you also know Yolanda personally and you say hi to your friend, that's absolutely fantastic as well. So to call in, it's 0891 104207, 0891 104207. Do tweet at Ashraf Garda, and you can SMS to 34701, 34701. So I take it then, Yolanda, of course, I mean, the good news, do I say that you're far healthier, you're much better?
Absolutely.
Well, we're very pleased to know that. How is your health right now?
Absolutely perfect. I think it is so amazing always when I need to go for a medical test that people always think when you say that you had a brain tumor, they expect somebody that won't be able to speak or won't be able to walk. We all have got these preconditions and preperceptions about illness and about disease. And then when they see me, they actually can't believe it. And I think it was just after 8 years of being blessed with incredible health, and people that know me also know that I look incredibly healthy, that I just thought I'm not serving my purpose by keeping my story to myself, because we all need to hear about hope, and I think that is what has inspired me to go public and to tell the story.
All right, 0891 104207. We'll talk about that story. So there's help, but there's also the trigger of your husband, which we'll talk about what happened next around him right after the
Afternoon Talk on SAFM.
Well, in the spotlight is Yolanda Sing, who teaches you and I and everybody else very important issues around leadership development, and there's a link there to horses, which we will touch on in a minute. She's an author of a book called Power in the Paddock, and it traces her own history as well. If you've read the book, I would, you can certainly call in and comment about the book, 0891 104207, more about the story rather than the book, because I think that's really the gist of what we're talking about. Yolanda, you made the point about your husband and also falling ill, and that sort of was the trigger to wonder then what happens next in your life.
Amazing. Maybe amazing is not the correct word, but while we were living in Dubai, we were doing a lot of horse riding, and my husband actually had a heart attack on a horse's back. And at the time, and I presume that many listeners that are listening in will be a little bit skeptical and think, what can a horse teach me? What is his business with horses? And I was one of them. I was really one of them. Although I understood technically how it worked, there was a part of me that was also very skeptical about what happened. And when my husband on that day had a heart attack on a horse's back of all places, and the horse exactly could sense his energy and could step away from the situation that we were busy with and actually saved his life, for me was a tremendous wake-up call that I had to step away from a corporate career that was successful and step into the unknown and to follow my passion. So that was an amazing turning point for me, and I always say to him, I could never believe why you got a heart attack on a horse's back, but I think it was clearly a sign from above that I had to pay attention to the voice that was speaking to me.
And just repeat, because you made that point about the horse, in fact, saving his life. How did that happen? Let's just talk about more detail there.
All right, so I'll quickly tell you what happened. It was actually on our last day. I was transferred from Dubai to Singapore, and it was, I remember very well, we were flying out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And one of my favorite part-time hobbies in Dubai, which we did as a mutual hobby, we went riding with the polo ponies, and we took them out in the desert, and we just went cantering up the dunes. It was very mystical, and it was a very magical experience. So we were flying out at 3 o'clock on that afternoon, and it was such a special time to spend our last morning in Dubai doing exactly what we love. At Dubai, had a very special polo pony. Her name was Gorisha, and I was very sad to say bye-bye to her because she didn't belong to me, and I had to say bye-bye to her. And as we were finished doing our ride, we went back to the polo field, and we decided we're just going to canter around the polo track for a few rounds, and my husband's horse didn't canter with us. And horse people that listening in this afternoon will know that horses are herd animals. If one horse run, all horses run. If one horse spook, all horses spook. And what happened was, while we all went cantering around the polo track for the last time, my husband's horse quietly walked away and took him to the stables, where he got him off of his back. And that incident actually saved his life, because when we came back to South Africa, and my husband is doing very well, the cardiologist was very intrigued with his story, and he asked him, why is it that you're still alive today? I want to know what happened. And my husband then explained to him what happened, and he said, well, in cardiologist terms, we call the place where you had your heart attack the widowmaker, because people don't normally survive a heart attack of that nature. So I was very intrigued to know, why did you survive it?
Interesting one indeed. So now, having said all of that, you then decided, because you mentioned Singapore, you mentioned Dubai. You're in South Africa now. Is this home for you?
Yes.
And originally you're from Singapore?
Originally I'm from South Africa, so okay. I went aboard, and yes, I'm back.
All right. So why are you here now, I mean, in terms of this journey?
I think when I then... later, when I got diagnosed with my brain tumor, I just had a passion to come back to South Africa and to come make a meaningful contribution. I've been blessed with an incredible life. I've been blessed with incredible business experience. And I just wanted to come and bring it back and to plow it back into our country. And that's what has brought me back.
All right. And then that next point, which is seeing what happened to your husband and his life being saved, and then you saying, hold it, I am into leadership, I need to connect the dots between, well, my husband or human beings, in fact, in terms of leadership and horses and lessons that one can learn. Explain that. Why would we want to learn from horses in terms of leadership? Explain the connection there.
I think any corporate person will know that people are looking for a fresh approach to life. People I honestly believe that as humanity are evolving, we are all searching to have a more meaningful contribution. And because it's so cutting edge, Ashraf, it's so experiential. It is you when we work with the horses, and maybe just to say at this point that we don't ride the horses. So if anybody is listening in and feel, oh, I'm scared of a horse and I'm not a horsey person, then this workshop is for you, because we don't ride the horses. All the exercises are done on the ground. We are all looking for a place where we can really get authentic feedback about who we are and how do we show up. When human beings interact with each other, it's always about filters. I talk to you, you talk to me, and we've got filters through which we process information. But once we stand next to a horse, there is no filter. It's just a pure transformation of our energy and a pure mirror of our energy. And because they come from a place of no intention to harm, people pay attention. I've seen it time and time again that when you put senior people next to a horse, they just get to the point where they stand still and they get the message, because it's a safe place to learn.
All right, let's get some calls. Dingy on the line. Hi, welcome to the show.
Hi, Asha.
Yeah, good talking to you.
I want to ask a question to Yolanda.
She's listening. Yeah.
Yolanda, what people must do in order in their sickness not affect their future performance of studies or outcomes of their future? Okay,
stay on the line. There may be a follow-up question. Yeah, stay on the line. Go ahead, Yolanda.
Can you just repeat that again, please?
Okay, sorry. Go ahead again, Dingy. It was not very clear. Go ahead.
What people must do in order their sickness not affect their performance of studies or future outcomes?
Well, that is a very deep question, and I can only share with you what I've done when I was diagnosed. For me, being sick was not an option. I made a decision that I will not be sick. And I remember so clearly the only times I felt sick was when I was sitting in front of these neurosurgeons and all these people that were taking care of me, and God bless them, they did incredibly good work. Because they used all these fancy technical terms and jargons, and I felt sick when they spoke to me. At one stage I said to them, it's very important, doctors, that you mustn't project your fear of death on me. I am already cured. I don't care what the scan is saying. I am cured. And I believed it, and I made it my reality, and that's exactly what happened.
That's a very good point. Now, does that help you in Dingy, yeah? Okay, I think he's gone, but hopefully you've learned that. Well, further calls, welcome, 0891 104 207, chatting to Yolanda Sing, putting her in the spotlight. She's the author of a book called Power in the Paddock, and it's a journey of healing and transformation. Now, so let's then talk more detail about the leadership aspect. So, people listening to you, I mean, who should be going through your leadership course, and how are they going to really benefit?
Since I've been doing this work, Ashraf, I've become quite bold with what I put out there, because I have been blown away time and time again with the power of the work. My clients are senior organizations in South Africa. They come back year after year, and I think that is a proof of the pudding, the fact that it is repeat business.
Okay, well,
I'm actually at the point in my life where I say I don't present a leadership program, I present a life-transforming experience, because that is exactly what it is.
All right, well, touch base, but point to that. Let's get another call, because I'm sure there could be questions directed to you about just that. Charles in Cape Town, go ahead, hi.
Hi, Yolanda and Ashraf. Yolanda, I just wanted to know, since you've been for some time in Dubai, I mean, 1 year that Arabs love for their horses. How did you relate to their fondness for horses? And I mean, they treat them basically as children. I listen to the radio.
Okay, yeah. What did you learn about that?
Yeah,
like children. Go ahead. Yeah.
That's a very good question, and I had, when I came back to South Africa, I managed to link the dots, and I realized that the population of Arab women is a big market in Dubai, and I know, as he has said, that the horse is a very majestical animal for them in their culture. So I go back to Dubai every year, and I do amazing work with the Arab women in Dubai through the Dubai government, where we work this aspect with a woman in Dubai. So clearly there's a very strong link in terms of upliftment of women. There's a strong link in terms of understanding horses and the power that they work, and it's a magical combination.
When you tell people, the power of horses, am I right in saying, besides those in Dubai or the Arab Emirates who have this connection with horses, many may just dismiss your claims completely?
Yeah, I'm very used to it by now, and it doesn't affect me that much. I know that people come in my workshop, the first hour or two, there's a lot of skepticism. And the skepticism is many times driven out of fear, because these animals are huge, they are powerful, they've got a very strong, profound presence, and people are scared of it. After tea time, when I've exposed people to the horses, I can guarantee you all the skepticism has gone out of the room, because the horses have done their work.
How do you expose them to these horses then?
We work, as I said, we don't ride the horses, we go in the paddock, we do ground exercises with the horses, and it's not just about the horses, Ashraf, it's also about the workshop that I've created, it's about the safe environment, it's about the context, and it's about the opportunity for people to really step back and to think and to contemplate about the question about who are they, how is their energy showing up, what is their purpose, and are they really true to that purpose.
Yeah, good point. Someone listening anonymously saying, so interesting, thank you. Well, I'm glad. It would be even better if you called in, because we'd love to get that feedback on the air. So if you wish to sort of, move away from anonymous, so interesting, to on-air questions or comments, to do that, it's 0891104207. So, okay, staying in with the cause, in South Africa, is it any different than, you mentioned, lecturing in this with leadership in Dubai, but let's take in South Africa, is it any different, or effectively the people would be the same type? Never mind their cultural differences, the learnings are the same.
I think I have to, it wasn't my intention to do it like this. It's just manifested for me like that. In Dubai, I've been picked up by the women organization. So my workshop in Dubai is mostly focusing on females. In South Africa, my workshops are mixed gender, both male and both females. I think if I reflect on my journey since I've started my business, it was easier for me in a way to set up my business in Dubai, because people there, the horse is so central to their culture. In South Africa, in the beginning when I started, it was a little bit, what is this business with horses all about, and how does it work? These days, no longer like that, because, the credibility speaks for itself. People have been on the workshop, people know what it's all about, business schools are using it, and more people are starting to do some studies to prove the point that how does this really work.
Okay, there's someone else trying to call in, and let me just remind you, if you're a first-time caller, great. If you're a regular caller, great. If you've first-time listener, that's also great. Welcome to the show. But also, if you have a particular interest in horses, moving away from just even my guest, just want to comment about what we spoke about, this special power that of the horse. I'd love you to share your thoughts on it. 0891104207. 0891104207. How did you measure success? When you take people through these courses, how do you measure that they've learned well?
I think for me, so many workshops also, there is no sustainability. So I have built in a process where after 3 months people get feedback and I hear of the impact that it had. And sometimes it blows my mind away. So I get personal feedback. The other feedback that I get is also in terms of business results. And without mentioning the name of the company, I have worked with one organization and they've invested. We sent many people on their workshops. And the results in terms of their return on investment were absolutely amazing. The measurement for me is very simple. Do people come back for more?
Okay, they certainly do. Well, people call in too. Let's get their thoughts. Alon, let's get your opinion. Hi.
Yes, thanks for that. I am a first-time caller.
Well, welcome to the show, Alon. Yeah.
Yolanda, I'm very curious. I'm an aspiring author myself, and I haven't read your book, but I'm curious to find out how you wrote the perspective of the horse. Is there any way you can read anything on air, part of that? Just curious to see how you gave a mind and a voice to a horse. I'm very curious.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Alon, you want to stay? Okay, listen on the radio, right? Thanks so much. And do call again, all right?
So I will.
That sounds like a receptionist, do call again. Thank you very much, yeah. Go ahead. Michael will come to you in a minute as well as Claire. Go ahead, yeah.
So must I answer?
Yeah, please do.
Right, Ashraf. I never intended to write a book, never. The first day when I was going for my chemotherapy, I started journaling. And when I started journaling, when the first chemo went into my body and I started journaling, I actually realized, well, I have got a talent. And I was so amazed with the wisdom that came through me when I was in such a dark space. So I've written the book from that perspective. I then worked with a mentor in the UK, and he said to me, if you want to have a New York bestseller, Yolanda, you need to write the book through the eyes of Erica. And I remember I went into the mountains. My husband left me there alone with no mobile phone, no cell phone for 3 days. It was devastating. I didn't want to relive the memory, but I put myself in the body of Erica, and I became her. And I rewritten my book through her perspective, and that's how I've done it.
And it obviously seems to have worked indeed. 3:30, lots more to talk about. Power in the Paddock is the book through the mind of Erica the horse. Yolanda Sing is the author, and she's in the spotlight.
Afternoon Talk on SAFM.
Okay, I need to tell you this before I get to Claire and Michael. Regarding that all-important event this weekend, Sunday, the South African Music Awards, and it happens this week, Sunday, at Sun City. Now, you can get your ticket at CompuTicket, but just in case you miss out there, you have the option of watching it on SABC 1, and it's from 8 p.m. The South African Music Awards this year celebrating 21 years. But for now, it's Power in the Paddock. Yolanda Sing is the author, and she is in the spotlight. Claire, let's get your thoughts. Hi.
Hello,
Hi.
And to your guests and the listeners. I wanted to tell about a remarkable story of a friend of mine who used to go down to this is near Ganubi, outside East London, and she used to ride her pony, she's in her 60s, down to the beach along a very deserted road. And she suffered a terrible aneurysm, from which she nearly didn't recover later on, but finally did. And what happened was that she slid off her horse, and when she came round, she managed to pull herself to her feet by hanging onto the stirrup, but she couldn't do anything, and the horse kept nudging her along, and she finally found that it had pushed her to a piece of driftwood on the beach, where she was able to climb up and get onto the horse. And she wasn't able to, she had this thundering headache, she wasn't able to guide the reins or anything, and she just sat on it, and the horse made its way not home, but to the only farmhouse on the way, where they'd never ridden in before, and turned in the drive, and these people saw the horse, and my friend slumped in the saddle and rushed to help her. and that's how she was taken to hospital and the horse taken home.
Well, there you are, isn't it? Let's get a response, Yolanda. Well, you understand that completely. Yolanda?
Clearly. Thank you for sharing that, Claire. And I just listening to it just resonate with me. The fact that horses has got no intention to harm. Yes, we do all fall off from them, and people do get injuries. Let's not fool ourselves about them. But fundamentally, they've got no intention to harm. And it is so amazing for me if we can stand next to a place where we are unconditionally accepted and where we know that nobody is going to harm us. That's where we learn. And I think what happened there, that horse just knew that he wanted to save her. The same that happened with my husband that day.
Okay, well, there you are.
A very good intuition. And I think sometimes, Ashraf, what happened with us as human beings, we get so much into our cognitive mind and we overthink life that we just dim the voice of intuition. One thing that animals always know, they never step into danger. Never. They always step into safety. They will never step into danger. While we as human beings, metaphorically, sometimes step right into that's going to hurt us. Because we dim our intuition.
That's a very, very good point indeed. Claire, appreciate your call. Thank you. Michael, go ahead. Hi.
Hi, I'm Yolanda.
Hi, Michael.
You were talking about, your brain tumor.
Yes.
And the doctors and what they were saying, and you made up your mind that you were cured already.
Yes.
Okay, my question to you is, did you change your diet at all during this time of illness?
You know, Michael, for me, one of the most disappointing fact was I live always very healthy. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't eat meat, I do all the right things, and yet I got sick because there was a lot of stress in my life. At the time, I just became more healthier and I become more raw. I just follow a completely raw lifestyle. And I remember so well, I sat the day with the oncologist and I said to him, Doctor, you're going to do what you're good at. I've got a lot of tricks up my sleeve and I'm going to do what I'm good at. And between the two of us, we're going to be a remarkable team. And that's how we did it.
And you certainly were, yeah.
The world and the doctors don't really want you to know that diet plays a major part in your brain power. And you convinced yourself that you were going to be cured, but because of your diet, the meat we eat today is contaminated. And it wasn't intended for us to eat it. And my wife don't pick, if I was to show you, you'd fall off your back, but she makes me smoothies out of weeds in the gardens and things like that. And I found since for the last 15 years, I've just been through a very bad tick bite fever and flu. And people said, listen, you're going to die, you must get to a doctor. And the same thing, I said, no, I'll just continue with my diet. I'm not saying doctors don't have a place, because I know that they do, and that my body will take care of this. If I feel that my body is failing, because I can feel my body fighting the disease that I have. And I say, if my body fails, I will then go to a doctor. But the problem we have today, all the meat that you eat meat, and the vegetables themselves too, with the poisons that they put on. But most of the meat that we eat, or if you do eat meat, is full of antibiotics. So your body becomes immune to antibiotics.
Absolutely.
Do you agree with me or not?
No, I'm completely with you there. And I think I also write in my book the fact that the spirit demands and the body obeys.
Yes.
The spirit demands, the body obeys. Yeah. Interesting one. Okay, Michael, that's it.
My pleasure. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for taking the time to call in. Most enlightening. There's another one. Ashraf, please ask. This is interesting. My horse doesn't see me as his leader. He grew up in a herd and is now only 7 years old. Someone that wants help, obviously.
Yeah. That steps into the whole issue of her dynamics, and now we're going to step a little bit into the horsey world, if I may. In the horse world, it's always the dominant mare that's the leader of the pack. She's not always the biggest, she's not always the smartest, but she is the most powerful. And that's what I teach in my workshop. How do we move from a place of being extremely arrogant, because the corporate world sometimes rewards arrogance, to a place of being powerful? And it's about stepping into the place where we then become the dominant mare as a metaphor for our horse. And there's a lot of ground exercises that a person can do in terms of natural horsemanship. It's all about join up, where you do establish yourself with your body language as the dominant mare for the horse. Because it's all about our body language when we communicate with these animals.
Okay, good point. What about, let's just go back to your courses. Some people emailing me to say that they'd love to attend. So where do you have these courses? What sort of cost? And anything else you'd like to add to that?
Thank you. I present my courses in South Africa, in Johannesburg. I do it in Durban. I do it in PE. I do it in Cape Town, and obviously I do it overseas as well. So it's a 2-day workshop. It's normally invested for corporate groups. I would say 90% of my work is corporate groups. I do private groups as well, but it's not. It's a very small percentage. And do you want me to say the price?
Yeah, please do.
The price is for 5,200 for 2-day workshop, and it might sound like a lot, but for investment in terms of who you are and for a life transforming experience, it's very reasonable.
Okay, and where would this course be held? I mean,
it depends on. I've got my stables all set up in the areas that I've mentioned. So if people are interested, they can contact me, and then I'm quite well set up in the areas that I've mentioned.
All right. Now we've got about 3 minutes to go. Let's talk. What's your take? In fact, we've got about 2 minutes to go. What's your take on leadership? I mean, what else can you tell us not just from a horse or equine point of view, but in terms of leadership of life, what inspires you?
I think what inspires me at a personal level is just to have a purposeful life, to know that the day when I gonna leave this earth, that I'm not gonna die with a voice in my heart, that I'm gonna say I've really been true to my passion, I've been true to my purpose, and I've made this world a better place. I think in terms of the corporate world, leadership is all about creating that cultures. And so often these days, people in corporate life are so disgruntled with what is happening around them. There's so much pressure, the pace of change, all these things are happening. And the ability for leaders to realize that they have gotten tremendous responsibility to create value with the cultures that they create in their work environment.
Okay, leave me with a great quote to end with.
I think the quote that I live my life with is that life begins at the end of your comfort zone.
Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Okay, there we are. Thank you so much for your time. Well, I'll tell you what, just give me a contact, maybe a website address perhaps.
Thank you. Thanks, Ashraf. My website address is www.chloeinsa.co.za.
So CHLOE, chloeinsa.co.za, right? Yeah.
That's right.
And in terms of the book, can it be bought where?
I've published the book myself, so they can also order it via my website, and it's also available on ebook on Amazon at the moment. Okay, Chloe in SA is the website. Power in the Paddock, written by Yolanda Sing. Great insights into human beings through horses, if that can make any sense to you. Appreciate your time.